Good afternoon and welcome to Two Up Top. Myself, Gav Mack, in the top there. Got Steven Cotton playing up front with me. How are you, Cotton?
I'm all right, thank you very much.
And in the Trecatista role is Alex down there. How are you, dude?
Very well, thank you very much. Hopefully to ping balls to both of you two boys up top.
Well, that's exactly how we work. We like having a front three. That's just how formations are nowadays. It's Two Up Top, the game day 36 review show, not preview show. And if you follow us on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, it's at Two Up Top Football, or you can subscribe to us, as you can see down below, as it's going across the bottom of the screen, at Two Up Top Football. And did you know, if you put Two Up Top Football into Google, we come up first. Right, so we've got a lot of games to cover. Wednesday's games and Thursday's games. We'll start with Thursday. And can we just take a moment to appreciate Danny Ings? 1-1 Southampton versus Brighton.
Do you know what? I'd go as far to say if we were to do a poll or a discussion about signing of the season this season, I know everyone will think it'd automatically be Bruno Fernandes. I think it'd be Danny Ings. I think where would Southampton be without his goals?
Mate, he's banging left, right, and centre. We've to be honest, this year I think we've seen a different side of Danny Ings. He offers a lot more than a normal centre forward does, and we've said it countless times that Jurgen Klopp really did like Danny Ings, but with injuries he wasn't able to feature, and I think he would be a featuring part of Liverpool's side this year if he was fit. Look at what the return that Firmino's had. I'm not saying it's better than Firmino, and Firmino offers a different type of aspect to the game, but what would you rather do? Would you rather bring Danny Ings on or Origi on?
Yeah, exactly. Ings all day.
But then Ings wanted to start, didn't he? He actually wanted to start and play the majority of games, and that's what he's getting at Southampton, and obviously he wouldn't have got that at Liverpool.
Yeah, very true. But it's just that the offering of a different thing. So many teams nowadays focus so much on a starting 11, don't they, rather than thinking of the squad formation. And I think if you're looking at a squad, then Danny Ings would fit in, and I think he would be happy to be starting, say, like 10 games a season, coming off the bench on another 10.
If you offered Danny Ings a Premier League winners medal playing half the games or coming second in a golden boot for a team that's just stayed up, what do you think he's going to say?
I think he'd say whoever's paying me the most.
Oh, I think it would have been Liverpool.
Yeah, definitely a money.
Well, I don't know, but what we obviously we're speculating here, but also credit goes to him saying that, look, if I want regular football, I'm not going to get it as much as I want to at Liverpool. And he's gone to Southampton, and look, he's backed himself, hasn't he?
You're damned if you do, damned if you don't, because players get moaned up for being mercenaries now because they want to go where the money is. And then the minute someone goes for first team football rather than just sitting on the bench a la Gareth Bale, he gets not moaned at, but people question his attitude and stuff, don't they? So you can't really win.
It's just not Gareth Bale's fault that Zidane's not playing him.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what his attitude in training and stuff's like, to be honest. Going playing golf all the time and stuff. So we don't. You don't know, do you?
He's definitely got a solid swing. But on the flip side, we look at Brighton. Brighton are now guaranteed their safety in the Premier League.
They have indeed. I think that's. It was always going to be a slightly difficult season. You know, change of manager after a couple of seasons. Potter playing a slightly different way to previous management. But yeah, they've done it, and now the test is where can they kick on? Can they, even if it means that they finish, say, 12th or something next season? That is another step forward.
Progress, isn't it?
But the problem will become is if Brighton are hovering around the relegation fight year after year, because eventually there will be one season where they'll just go down. It's happened to, you look at other clubs in history like Aston Villa, you know, when they went down the first time, they had been hovering around the relegation zone for about 4 or 5 seasons prior to them actually going down, and then they eventually did. I know Bournemouth haven't been in trouble as much, but they have kind of slowly regressed over the last couple of years, which has meant obviously they're in the trouble they are now. So hopefully Brighton can learn from that and then they can take that step forwards. And I think that'll be down to the coaching staff as much as the playing staff, really.
I was going to say, can Brighton realistically press forward much more? Because they are, without being disrespectful to them, I think they're one of the most middle-of-the-road teams. I don't think I've ever watched a Brighton performance and thought, wow, that was... I know that doesn't mean everything, because Norwich played attacking football and look where it's left them. But they just really uninspiring to me. And I think they'll be one of those teams for a while that just consolidating their place every year and staying up every year will kind of be enough for them, I think.
I think it would take a monumental effort for something different to happen for Brighton. I can't see them doing anything else. But I think a mid-table regular, and try and go out there and get a League Cup or something. Get yourself into Europe. If you do that, then it might be able to attract a different type of player. Leicester versus Sheffield Wednesday. Sheffield Wednesday, that's a bit savage. Sheffield United, that ended 2-0 to Leicester. That's really helped them out, because Leicester, that's only their second win in their last seven. Third win in their last 7 games. They've not had a great second half of the season. I think they're going to be scraping their way to a European spot.
If that wasn't for Dean Henderson yesterday, that could have been about 5 or 6-0. Easy. Leicester were running riot.
What did you think about the first goal when you say that? Because there was a lot of talk on different social media outlets that if that for the first goal in particular, the Isaiah Perez goal, if that was De Gea that made that mistake, if you want to call it that, then it would be vilified for it. But the fact that it was Dean Henderson, he gets a free pass almost.
Do you want to know why? Because Dean Henderson's like 20 years old and not supposed to be at the peak of his game at 28, 29, 30. So, but it swings and roundabouts, because that he didn't cover himself in glory for the first goal. But how many times did he stop Leicester adding a second, third, fourth with half decent saves? I know some of the Leicester finishing was a bit questionable yesterday. It was straight down the keeper a lot of the times. But you've got to save him still. But Sheffield United looked like they just want the season to end. They've kind of looked like that since the restart. They just want to get over the line, and they just look tired.
Alex, in terms of top 4 race, that's done wonders for Leicester.
It is crucial, isn't it? Especially when both Chelsea and Man United won as well. We're talking about teams. Cotton mentioned it on Sunday about how he kind of saw that Man United would slip up because both Leicester and Chelsea slipped up. And then the reverse effect of that, because both teams have won, they've won as well. It's such a strange way how it works. No team seems to be able to capitalise on the others slipping up. But out of the 3 sides, I think Leicester is still the one that are going to miss out, especially as they go to Manchester United last game of the season. Though Chelsea's running the next 2 games are not exactly easy. They've got Liverpool Wolves, I believe.
Have you seen there was a really interesting scenario? If Liverpool lose, if Chelsea lose to Liverpool and both United and Leicester win their games, we only need to draw against each other on the final day to
both
kick Chelsea out of top 4. Yeah,
I know. That's going to be some inquisition on that one. What
were we talking about the other day? About the Tanzanian league or whatever it was, where the guys scored own goals?
That was in the Caribbean Cup, weren't it? It was
they scored own goals
versus Grenada or something like that, and they needed an own goal to make it into. Because if you win by a golden goal, you get like a bonus point or something like that. Yeah. Absolutely shocking stuff. But I don't know how deep it will go into something like that. But it's be very intriguing to see what happens. Let's talk about Man United, because I know Cotton's excited to talk about it.
No, because I've only just recently discovered something, and I would like to make like an apology on behalf of the fans and behalf of the club.
Crystal Palace 0, Manchester United 2. Right,
so it appears, and honestly, I went back through old DVDs, I went back through the season reviews, watched a couple of old cup finals, and I actually, while I was watching it, I saw it happening, and I thought, wow, how have I not picked up on this? But apparently, for almost the last 20 years, we have purposely been playing strikers offside.
Yes, that's correct.
I couldn't believe it. I was watching, like I said, I was watching cup finals, and I saw our defenders purposely stepping forward to play a player offside. And I'm sorry, and I mean, if the FA want to take our titles away for this discretion, then I completely understand. I feel sorry for everyone that's had to put up with our defenders purposely playing people offside, and I just couldn't believe that this has been a thing. I'm gobsmacked. It happened yesterday in the Crystal Palace game. It was a millimetre or two offside, but and it was purposely done by our defence, and I'm sorry for them.
I do want to mention something first, and I don't know if you agree with me or not, Alex. I don't think Cotton does agree with me, but just before Rashford scored the opening goal, there was a situation where Lindelof made a challenge inside the box. For me, I'm giving a penalty for that. I feel that he got the man first and then the ball. Alex.
So I'm going to put my Arsene Wenger in and say I didn't actually see it. However, I have a first-hand quote from my best mate, who's also a Manchester United fan, and he said that Palace should have had a penalty, so he saw it that way. But yeah, wasn't given, and then Man United went up and scored. So it happens. I mean, a four-letter word. What's that? Begins with S, begins with S, ends in T. Happens,
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things. I mean, I watched Match of the Day last night, so I didn't catch the game. I was at work, and I got in, and they had to slow the replay down, watch it 4 or 5 times, and even then they came to the conclusion that okay, maybe he's touched him at the same time he's touched the ball, and it's the clear and the obvious thing again, isn't it? It's not a case of looking at it and overturning the ref's decision. It's not clear and obvious that he's missed it. It is that wording and that ruling that's getting everyone riled up.
It's a dodgy one because if the penalty is given and they go to VAR, I won't see it overturned.
No, they won't, because it's not clear and obvious.
Yeah, so they'd have to go with it. It's the same. It works the same way. And we're going to be talking about another game where that happens later on in the show.
I would say that it's one of those ones, and this is a cliche. If it's given against you, you're fuming. If it's not given for you, you're fuming. You can see why it could go either way. But at the minute, we're public enemy number 1 again, so obviously it doesn't go for the opposition team.
What I would say as well is Martial scored he scored 22, 23 goals this season. No penalty goals in that. No set piece goals either. These are all goals from open play, and his goal yesterday, that was a lovely move, and he took it well, and he finished it with aplomb. Unfortunately, Patrick Van Arnold looks like he suffered quite a bad injury in the
he's
dislocated his shoulder. He's okay though.
Gorgeous finish.
He's been on Twitter and stuff saying he's fine and whatnot. So
so
the Rashford goal,
there, great finish. It was very, very clinical, and I think Crystal Palace had looked a little bit threatening, hadn't they, in quite a bit of that second half. And then Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sort of made a couple of substitutions, which kind of shored you guys back up again. And you were then able to go on and get that second goal and obviously close the game out quite comfortably in the end. But
I'll tell you what was nice to see. Fosu Mensah get a start.
Right, I don't know if you saw, I tweeted on about 3 days ago saying I really miss Fosu Mensah. And I was at work and I got a text saying, look at the lineup, I nearly lost my mind. But quickly, because obviously we talked about the penalty, the counter-attack for the Rashford goal, Rashford sitting down 2 defenders and a keeper was lovely.
That was smooth.
And then we'll get on to what seems to be upsetting every single person on Twitter, journos and everything, that we've had the most offside goals disallowed against us this season. It's boring. The rule is really boring, and the fact that it's letter of the law. But if you're a millimetre offside or you're 2 yards offside, you're offside.
The thing is, I think what riled a lot of people was the graphic again, a little bit like the FA Cup game. Remember the one where they did the zigzags with Matt?
Oh yeah.
Well, this one, excuse me, it looks like when you look at the line, you look at the 6-yard box, and then you look at the line that they've drawn across, and it's not parallel. And I think that winds people up.
But what people don't understand
I think it's offside. I think it's offside, and I would have put my flag up if I was on the line on that game. But
what people don't understand is it's not a flat line. It's when your camera angle's there, or whatever replay they're looking at, it's not going to be a straight line. It's the perspective.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. VAR is really boring, right? But that is they've put lines, and it's if he's offside, he's offside. Now, the one thing that I don't know whether they've still got the technology to do, and we were talking about this yesterday, certain passes, like a scoop pass, when you put your foot on the ball and then you scoop it up, that's a good second motion, right? It takes about a second to get. So then, with the VAR, do you pause it at the point he's first touched the ball with his foot? Do you use it from... And obviously, you could get 50 still images at a millisecond from the time he's... Then you could have a picture of the player with his ball still on the foot, but then you could have 5 or 6 different lines from where the player was moved because it's so... The only thing I'd say is they need to nail down the precise moment the ball's touched. But yes, it is what it is, man. Like, if that's... they might need to at some point, and if the referee wants to, show the managers on the monitor. Roy Hodgson's fuming. Show him the monitor. There's the red line. There's the blue line.
That will not happen.
No, I know, but like Roy's raging, and it's like it's really boring and robotic that it's down to a millimetre. But that's the rule.
Right, we've got lots of more games to cover, but it is time for this.
What's Everton?
I'm going in. I'm going in. Right.
Go on then. What are you going about?
Let's talk about the game very briefly first. Everton won. Aston Villa won. Aston Villa, they took the lead with a Konsa goal. He actually took it quite nicely for a centre half, to be fair. 18 minutes to go in the game, and then Theo Walcott, he scored. Konsa actually tried to clear it off the line. It was clearly behind the line. Villa couldn't get away with that one, as they did get away with the one against Sheffield United. Right. So this now puts Villa in a bit of a precarious position. Like later on tonight, it is West Ham versus Watford. A draw puts lots of pressure on both of these sides. I think they would ideally, Aston Villa would ideally want one of those teams.
They want to win for either side. They'd want to win for either side.
Oh yeah, well a West Ham win, because then West Ham might be able to relax a little bit for when Villa play them on the last game of the season. That's the only way I can think of it. However, Everton, we say this, we have a section in the show, what are Everton? Everton in the last 3 years has spent £380 million on average players.
I was going to say, on what? On what?
You know, we look at Sigurdsson, 45 million. He ain't worth 45 million.
That's nuts. That's
probably the worst.
25 million.
For the
I don't think so. I think Iwobi for 40 million.
No, I don't think they didn't spend that much on him. It could go.
I thought it was 30. I thought it was 30.
Yeah.
It's 35 plus a certain amount of games, and he's covered those games. It's 40 million now. Jeez. £40 million for Alex Iwobi. Now, I liked Iwobi, and I think he was a good prospect, but he was a squad player for Arsenal. He was never starting he was never going to be a star man, I should say, for Arsenal. And the fact they spent that much, Keane at the back, 25-30 million for that. Pickford, 30 million. It's just a lot of money on not great players. And they made a really good analogy this morning. If you go out and say, I just spent 300 quid on shoes, what have you done? Have you bought one decent pair or 2 decent pairs for that 300 quid? Or have you bought 10 pairs of £30 shoes? And those 10 pairs of £30 shoes aren't going to last you as long as 2 decent pairs of shoes for 150 quid. And that's what they've spent their money very badly. We all know that they've got money. But then have Everton then been, have they made a rod for their own back? Because we know that they've got decent money. So clubs will then say, oh, well, they've got a lot of money. We're just going to inflate the price of this player.
I'll say 2 words. 2 words. Well, 3 words. Premier League tax. Premier League tax. Like that's what everyone suffers for. If Gylfi Sigurdsson left to go somewhere, did he leave from Spurs to go to Everton? Yeah. Mm. If Gylfi Sigurdsson would have left Spurs and gone to Valencia, how much do you think that deal was costing?
Yeah, we were talking about
25 million.
We were talking about this yesterday on the show, for the top 5, the German top 5s. Me and Alex were saying, because Alex put Tony Kroos in his list. I won't tell you the rest of the list because you need to go back and watch it. But Tony Kroos, £24 million.
Yeah, exactly. Going into the Prem, what's that?
Oh, we're looking at 50, 60.
Yeah. Honestly, you look at the Everton signings. Iwobi. If Iwobi goes out to somewhere else that isn't England, it's not 35, 40 million. If again Keane, that's not a 30, 35 million pound signing. You look at Jude Bellingham has gone to Dortmund. Look at the money involved in that. It's nothing. If that's a Prem club going for Bellingham, they wanted 50 million. It's just the Premier League tax. But it doesn't excuse the fact that they have brought poorly. They have brought poorly.
You got any input on that, Dog?
No, you guys have covered it pretty much. I think maybe the only other thing as well that clubs know that Everton have got a bit of money, and obviously Everton are desperate to try and get somewhere, right? They've got their neighbours down the road who all of a sudden become a powerhouse, and they don't want to be left behind. So desperation on Everton's part and other clubs taking advantage of that has meant that they've just spent stupid money on players, which have, as you say, is amounted now to 380 million. Talk about Premier League tax. Richarlison. Now, I think Richarlison's a pretty decent player, but he's not £50 million worth, Richarlison, especially.
No, he's not 50 million good.
Because he had a fast start at Watford, didn't he? He came out of the blocks, but then he kind of faded away. And, he doesn't have extreme pace. He's not a regular goal scorer. I mean, what's his best position? He plays in. We talk about Jack Grealish. What kind of position does he play? He plays a number of different positions. Richarlison does the same. I mean, that to me doesn't say it's a £50 million player, because a £50 million player should be a player who's got a position and he's very good at what he does. I think Richarlison's good at what he does, not very good.
Yeah, he doesn't offer enough. He went for that little run where he scored, I think he scored 5 goals in 7 games. And
that's it.
Oh, yeah, he's great. And then he's not really performed.
I get it. He's young. So he's obviously got time to improve. I mean, the thing that will improve him now is just getting match experience. But Everton, they can't afford to spend that kind of money on players and them not hit the ground running.
They have to come in and run with it. Exactly. And it just leads to where they are right now, with 13th place. And I mean, we can all probably think that they're going to spend another lot of money this summer whenever the transfer window comes round. And is it just going to be repeated again? Well,
it's like I said the other day. They've got a new manager, haven't they? So Ancelotti might not want some of these players that the fraud Marco Silva brought in. So now we might see Ancelotti want to spend money on the players that he wants, and then, like you just said, round we go, we start again.
How many windows does he need? 3, 4? Is he going to be allowed to have 3 or 4 windows?
Will he last 4 windows? Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, but that's not necessarily will he get sacked? Will he just get annoyed and think, do you know what? I've had enough of this. I'm out.
I was going to say, does he have the appetite for that kind of thing? Does he have the appetite for a kind of a rebuild job?
Yeah, he's in his 60s now.
He's got to be in the latter stage of his managerial career, right? He's been manager for over 20 years now.
And the rest.
So is he at the age where he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to take on a project? Because you usually think projects are for younger managers, right? Because they're starting out in the game and they want to be able to build their reputation. Ancelotti, he's a manager who's like, my reputation is this, so therefore I should be at a club where I'm challenging for honours, and he's not going to be doing that at Everton anytime soon.
Very true. Right, let's go back to Wednesday's games. We've not got too long left, but there's still 4 games that we need to rattle through. We're staying Merseyside. This is a result I did not expect. Arsenal 2, Liverpool 1. Goals from, when Mane scored the opener, I was thinking, right, it's going to be 6, 7, 8, 9. Arsenal just couldn't get out the blocks, but then 2 absolute howlers from the Liverpool defence. I would literally think about Alisson, is he Edison in disguise a little bit there? Lacazette with the opener, and then he set up for Reece Nelson for a goal just before half time.
So here was a funny little stat. Virgil van Dijk has got as many assists as Mesut Ozil for Arsenal this season.
It was a good back pass.
Lovely, weren't it?
But that Van Dijk back pass had Kolasinac vibes about it.
It did. It was almost as if Liverpool just did their best Arsenal impression.
I literally thought it was Arsenal that were in black.
But a good finish by Lacazette. I'll give him that. He showed a bit of composure and ran the keeper. But also got to give him a bit of credit. He set up the goal for Nelson, obviously after the back pass. But great play from Nelson to, again, composure, kill it, and then slot it in the corner.
I was really impressed with Nelson on Wednesday.
And then I can't believe I'm saying this, but then Arsenal dug in and defended really well to see the game out.
Dug in.
Future Ballon d'Or winner David Luiz.
Every ball, it was just drawn to his. You can tell it was when David Luiz said, because obviously his hair's going everywhere. But every ball came near him. He was clearing it, heading it away, and that was possibly one of his best games he's had for Arsenal in a defensive sense.
I would argue that is his best game for Arsenal.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably the best I've seen him in an Arsenal shirt.
I mean, Liverpool still had a couple of number of opportunities where I was like, oh God, we
number of opportunities. They had 24 shots.
But Emi Martinez, I mean, he's just come in and it's like. We've not missed a beat in terms of goalkeeper. Leno is going to find it so hard to get back in the side when Martinez has been on form like this.
I wouldn't be looking at starting Leno at all.
No,
it's got to be Martinez. You've got to keep running with him because you can't take a goalkeeper who is in incredible form away. He doesn't make mistakes. He commands his box. His distribution is good. He shouts. He screams. He leads from the back, and that's what you need in a goalkeeper.
What I would say for Martinez, unfortunately for him, once the season's finished, Leno will probably be fit to start next season, and because he's your number one choice keeper, it won't kind of be seen as just dropping Martinez to get Leno straight back in. It will be, look, he's my number one. It's new season. Impress me in training, and you'll get ahead of him. But he's my number one, so I think Leno will still start next year. Now I'm going to bring it up because I'm not an Arsenal fan like you two, so there won't be any bias. Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Thank you.
How is that not a red card? And okay, if people might agree that it's not a red card, how come it didn't even get VAR'd?
I'm flabbergasted because it's exactly the same situation as the Eddie Nketiah one last week.
It's pretty much carbon copy.
Yeah.
But then to
be fair, when I first saw it, I thought it was just a yellow. I thought it was a foul and a yellow, and then you see it again.
That was the same with Nketiah's though, wasn't it? It was when he first saw it, it's a yellow, and then they, as Cotton says, in the Arsenal when Nketiah, they spent 4 or 5 minutes looking at it, and then they asked the referee to go over to the sideline monitor. This one, it was like, just carry on.
And then 5 minutes later, they VAR'd a Xhaka tackle with him winning the ball. They VAR'd that.
Yeah.
But they didn't. And this is the thing, like people, we shouldn't get wrapped up as fans of worrying about other teams. Oh, Liverpool getting it away with it again. Oh, Man United with another penalty. We need to be annoyed collectively at the inconsistency of the decisions and the officiating. Because how can you literally have... It's not like it was at the start of the season and then we've forgotten it's 9 months later. You had literally a carbon copy challenge a week before that had a VAR review, a VAR monitor review that took 5 minutes and then it got to a decision. Pretty much the exact same tackle and it doesn't even get reviewed in the space of a week. I just don't understand it.
I know. What I'm going to do, I'm going to try and find get an ex-referee on the show during the pre-season, see if we can get some voices together and try and nail down some real poignant situations that have happened this season. We're going to stay in North London and Newcastle versus Tottenham. Did you know? So Newcastle 1, Tottenham 3. Did you know?
I know what you're going to say.
This is Jose Mourinho's first ever Premier League victory over Newcastle.
Yep.
That is an incredible stat. And I just remembered I was meant to do some trivia for you guys as well, and I was meant to give it to you before the beginning of the show. So we'll have to do. I've got loads of trivia questions here. We'll have to do it. We'll have to do it.
So let me just ask: is that his first Premier League home and away, or just away?
Just in general.
First Premier League victory over Newcastle.
Wow.
And he's been in the Premier League on and off, don't get me wrong, for 15 years. So that is...
Yeah, but Newcastle were also in and out of the Premier League on and off for 15 years, so...
He was there, though. The goals came from Son, Kane got a brace, and then Matt Ritchie scored a lovely one.
It was a lovely goal. Tottenham have put 2 results back-to-back now, so... The Jose out crew have stopped, and he's back to being a world-class manager, grinding out results again.
There you go. And that was a Man United fan who said that, so don't start digging on Gooners for that.
Listen. I've been having it out with it. Listen, we suffered years under Jose playing negative football. Yeah, we ground out results, but if I tell you that your manager plays negative football and I'm watching a game and it's negative football and you're having 0 shots on target against Bournemouth, it's not a personal attack. You're just playing negative, defensive, boring football. That's it.
Done. Burnley 1, Wolves 1. Because we've only got a couple of games left to rattle through. Burnley 1, Wolves 1. That was on Wednesday, and we just want to go back and just sort of revisit that VAR situation because Wolves they took the lead. Raul Jimenez. I think that finish, by the way, was strong as hell. I was texting Cotton during the game. I was like, I can't believe we were giving him so much jip last season, and the guy's an animal, and it was a lovely finish.
Do you know what that volley really reminds me of? Because it was like behind him and it's almost shinned it. It really reminded me of Van Persie's volley against Charlton.
Yeah.
You know, on the edge of the box, because he almost has to come back on himself and try and get himself into the angle to swing a leg at it. It was such a good finish.
Yeah, beautiful finish. But then at the end, it was a penalty. Chris Wood dispatched it beautifully, but there's arguments as to whether this penalty should be given or not, because Doherty. He's handballed it, yeah, but there's a training boot very close to his face, and the protection, should that not be a penalty because he's trying to protect himself from a flying boot? Should it be a penalty because it struck his hand? How are we looking at that?
But then the problem is, if you're rolling out a Tottenham goal because Lucas Moura's handballed it after he's been fouled and falling down, that's it, isn't it? We've got to that point now where we've said, pretty much, if it hits your hand, no matter what the situation is, it's either or.
It's set precedent, hasn't it? That's what's happened. It's set precedent for any future, what any future incidences should be measured against. But as we've known, that doesn't necessarily mean that the same consistency will be applied across
they're not
all matches. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was that, and it's not necessarily scuppered Wolves' chances because there's still opportunity for them to get there, but it made it a lot harder.
I think it has made it a lot harder. I think what Wolves happen, they'll comfortably finish 6th, won't they? But you've got to remember they're in the Europa League and they can make a serious go at that. And if they win the Europa League, that means they go into the Champions League. And
yes, they do. And if they come outside the top 4, their 5 teams will be making it there. And there's a wasp in my face because that's what happens. And for the audio it's fine, but for the visual it's terrible. Right, it's gone. Lovely. So Anchor FM guys, make sure you go over to YouTube and you can see me battling a wasp. And then Man City 2, Bournemouth 1. Now this almost got a bit hairy for Man City, and I actually feel quite sorry for Bournemouth because once my boy Brooksy scored at the end, they had 3 or 4 opportunities where they could have and should have equalised. The goals from Man City, by the way, came from David Silva and Gabriel Jesus. But it was.
That's the first time he's scored in about 5 years, isn't it? As well.
Yeah. World-class striker, Gabriel Jesus. But I feel sorry for Bournemouth, and I'm just gonna get a little graphic on the screen for you guys about the running for the relegation positions. So here we go. Relegation battle. Brighton have got Newcastle home and Burnley away, but now we know after the result yesterday that Brighton are safe. So we don't need to worry about those anymore. But then you go West Ham, Watford. They've got each other tonight at 8 o'clock, which is live on Sky Sports. Then West Ham, they've got Man United away, Villa at home. Watford have got City at home, Arsenal away. Ooh. Bournemouth, they've got Southampton at home, Everton away.
Watford have to win tonight. They have to win tonight, otherwise they're not. Oh, they're in trouble.
Watford are desperate for a victory tonight, and I feel that if they don't, then they are. I'd fancy Villa getting out of that if Watford fail to win today. And
do you know what? If Watford don't win tonight, I honestly can see West Ham getting possibly a point at Old Trafford as well. I really can. They are a pure bogey team.
I remember season 94-95, they got a point off you to deny you with the title. They're that sort of team, you know. And the season that West Ham went down, didn't they get a victory against United on was it the last day of the season or something?
And then there was their final game at the Berlin Stadium, and they absolutely slapped us about. Like we don't do too well against West Ham.
Yeah, it's not great.
I think Watford, it's all eggs in one basket tonight.
It's do or die. This is your cup final tonight, Watford. You have to go out there and get a victory. And if you don't, you are in a precarious position, and there's every chance that you could end up going down.
And don't treat it like the FA Cup final.
No, definitely do not treat it like the FA Cup final. Right then, that's it from us from today. But we are back tomorrow to preview all the weekend's games, including the FA Cup games. And we're also here on Sunday with the live watch-alongs. So we're on it all day, pretty much from 4 o'clock through into the early to mid evening. But from myself, I'm Gav Mack, playing up front with Cotton in the two up top, and with your man in behind, Alex Osborn. Thank you, everybody. Oh, before I go, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. There it is. Details below. And did you know that if you Google two up top, our name and everything that we do comes up first? Thank you, and ta-ra.